Welcome, guys. I'm gonna go through my little quick review here, testing out a Harbor Freight Predator chipper. We bought it back during one of the recent sidewalk sales they were having. Normally it's $5.99. We bought it for $5.29. You can see there I was showing a minute ago. The thing's packed really good. If you're not wanting to watch the unboxing, you can skip to about a minute 25 or so in the video and get past all this and see it in action. I just did want to show there's a little bit of work to getting it done. It's not much. I sped this up quite a bit to make it fly by. Remove the sections where I'm actually looking at the manual to make sure I'm putting it together correctly. But anyway, it went by pretty quickly. Nothing crazy. Big shout out to the Harbor Freight lady that brought it out. She just pretty much picked the whole thing up and set it in my trailer. I don't know that I could do that anymore. Very impressive. So I was very impressed with how well it was packed, and everything was in great condition. When I unboxed it, of course, the wind is blowing all the packing materials away.
Luke, I am your father.
Yeah, and sorry about that there. I have to, anytime I have on any type of mask, I have to talk like Darth Vader for a minute. I would say the kids love it, but they hate when I do that. But more of a reason to do it. And, here, you can watch me here. I'm not really sure why I am putting stuff in the upper hopper here, in the upper bin. I don't really know what the purpose is there, but that's what I was doing. Of course, I was kind of shocked at how quickly I would jerk stuff out of my hands there. But, and I will say, you could definitely hear the sound there that the motor definitely, you can tell there's something jammed up in there a little bit. The stuff's not getting completely cleared out. I can't hear it. I've got on my chainsaw headgear there, so I've got on hearing protection, and it all just sounds the same to me, but you could definitely hear there was a change in the motor. Now, I'm not running the motor at 100% wide open yet. I forget how many hours it tells you. Maybe an hour or so it wants you to run the motor at not quite wide open. So I'm probably running at about 3/4 of its full potential right now. This is going to be my biggest issue, and I think it's just going to be with chipper in general. It's not because it's a Harbor Freight one or anything else. But you really, I'm going to have to go back and really prep almost all of these limbs, like cut off anything that's sticking out that's not easily bendable. And like that, you got stuff that's kind of a little bit sideways. It just didn't want to fit in there very well, and that's what I seem to run into the whole time. I'm kind of going to go back and forth here between the two hoppers. I'll start cutting out the footage a little bit as we move forward here in a minute, just to kind of limit the amount of just having to sit here watch me walk back and forth picking up limbs. But now I'm kind of back to putting stuff in the upper hopper again. This really probably should have just went straight into the lower hopper, and it would have been able to handle it okay. And I'm putting stuff in there. It's probably a little bigger than I need to be putting in there. And it definitely was green, right? And that's kind of my problem, I believe, is that it was green, that it doesn't cut well, so it just kind of bends and gets wrapped around. Now, I should have known. It didn't work well the first time, but some reason I seem to think putting the same exact thing back in the same place is going to work better this time. Let's see how that works out for me. And notice I am disconnecting the spark plug there before I really start digging my hands in there. So I do not want to get this thing started with my hands anywhere near it. It is off and the spark plug is disconnected. And I'm just kind of showing you what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to dig this stuff out. Here in a minute, I'm just going to show you what it looks like. I end up just kind of giving up and pulling the cover. And here you can see what was in there. It has just wound that up and it is wrapped good. I mean, the pieces don't want to come out. So anyway, I ended up having to go grab a few pair of long needle nose pliers, couple of knives and saws, a little bit of everything to try to break pieces up, cut them up, pull them out. Was finally able to get it completely cleaned out, and there's all the mess that came out of there. And again, it wasn't totally green, but it definitely was bendy. It wasn't cutting very well. So I've got it started again, and now I'm just frustrated. It's like, oh, that's it. I'm just putting stuff in the bottom. I'm not putting stuff in the top right now. We're just going with something that seems to be working better. And, you know, to be honest, this did work out a little better. I am going to hit a snag here in another, 8 minutes or so. You'll see hit another snag. And this you can see there is the problem I keep having. It's where, boards, limbs that have kind of a bend in them, it's just not going to work out very well. You're going to have to really break it off there, and I think I'm trying to do that here, but I don't get it done exactly like I need to. But that's going to be the problem. Is I'm really going to need to spend some time prepping all of the material that I'm going to run through here a little bit better to have pieces ready to just go. Not be doing this while I'm running the motor and I'm sitting here. I need to have stuff kind of go through all the limbs and the brush and get everything cut up into manageable pieces, and then just sit there and be able to feed it in. Again, the Y sections, the W sections, everything where it comes out and the limbs split into 2 or 3 sections, unless it's bendable enough that it'll kind of fold together and fit into the feed there, you're just going to have problems with it. And like this one, it just doesn't, it's still green enough, it doesn't really want to break off very good, so it's just gonna be a problem. But again, all these limbs, we had just had the big freeze, and we had spent the weekend before, going around with a trailer around the property picking up limbs. We got 2 or 3 big piles. I've got some YouTube shorts out there showing all the different piles we had. But you can just see, we just keep running this through, keep running it through. And again, it's working good at this point. I think everything's going good. And I'll probably get a little bit cocky here in a little bit. So you don't want to miss it jamming up. That's always fun. That was always my favorite part when I would watch the videos of people reviewing chippers, is the, what's it going to do? When's it going to bog the motor down? When's it going to, completely jam it? And you have to take it apart and pull everything out. And when we were looking at this, like I say, we spent $529 on this. So we had thought about, do we want to go ahead and buy one with a dedicated motor like this, or do we want to step up and buy something that fits on the 3-point of the tractor, runs off the PTO, and that way we just use the power of the tractor to go, to run it. The problem is, and I would be fine with that, except for the fact that you're probably looking at the minimum $1,700-1,800 for a cheap one. You're probably more up in the $2,500 range for a pretty good one. And that was just more than I wanted to pay. It's not like I have that many limbs. This year was kind of a bad year just because of the ice we had. We had limbs down all over the property because we had ice just covering the trees. So we don't normally get that much ice. We normally get a little bit of snow, a little bit of ice every year, but nothing like what we've had this year. This year was just a total mess. And again, Still not running the engine at full power. I mean, I think I've cranked it up a little bit from where I started, but it's not running full power yet. Yeah, what could go wrong, right? And again, this is the most frustrating part to me. It's just the amount of work I have to try to do as I'm getting ready to feed stuff. It's just going to have to become a multi-step process. You know, I'm going to go around the property, pick everything up, bring it up to the piles, then cut it up and kind of create the piles that are ready to go into the chipper. Or if some of it is just going to be too much work to chip, then I just need to create a burn pile with it. And, you know, having to do so much work as I'm trying to put stuff in there doesn't make sense. So here we go. We got a little bit bigger piece of wood now. Still probably not up to what they say the max size for this chipper should be. And it works well as long as I just kind of feed a bit at a time. I'm not sure how it would work out if I, you know, was to just take the entire limb in there at once. But you know, and here's the thing: you kind of get stuck at a couple of these that want to get stuck in there. And I finally just end up breaking the thing off at the bottom enough that it comes out. And, you know, and again, the problem is not that it's jammed up on the knives at this point. It is literally just jammed up trying to get the piece down in there. You know, and that's the problem where you get the little, like say, the little sections where it splits off into other limbs, where it's like a Y section, is it just doesn't... you know, it's going to have to get down to a small enough hole, and the way it kind of shrinks down in there, it's easy to get it stuck. You'll see here in a little bit, I'm going to get one stuck, and I actually have to pull the little feed part, you know, away from the chipper to be able to get it out. And again, this is just me learning. This was the first time using this thing. I literally had taken it out of the box, pushed it out to the brush pile, cranked it up, and was going. So this was the first use. I still need to spend some additional time with it, and I think it's going to work out to be pretty good. All right, we got a couple of minutes here until we start to see the other. Next time I had a little problem here. And again, I'm not sure why. What makes me think pushing the jammed log further down in there is going to help. That was definitely not the right option there. And you can see, here's what we've got. You can see the log is just completely jammed down in there. It's not... it is up to the blade, but it's not that it's jamming the blade. It is just jammed to the point that it cannot go down any further. And I tried putting a pair of pliers on it and pulling it out. Wasn't having it. Could not get enough of a grip, although I could get the pliers on there pretty good. And here it is. You can see now that I've pulled the thing apart, you can kind of get to it a little bit easier now to see. It's not going to come out that way. It's going to have to come out the top. And that's it. That's the one that was causing all the problem. You see, it separated it in the main limb, separating the two additional little branches there. So I had a pretty wide piece, and that's what was causing the problem. So I got it up, started back up. Here, I ended up bringing the tractor around because what I kind of figured was at least I could put the chips into the bucket and then be able to, just haul them off where I want them from there instead of having to load them up and put them in the bucket and then move them. But so real quick, this footage is just here, just kind of showing it till the end. But overall, I think this was a good purchase. Ideally, it'd be better if you could just take limbs as they were and stick them in there. I'm not sure any chipper's going to really let you do that unless you've got one of the big, tow behind chippers. I've never used a PTO power chipper, so I can't say how this compares to that. I'm assuming you're going to have more power. Even my tractor right there is a L3901. I believe it's got 37 horsepower and probably 31 or 33 to the PTO. This shredder here from Harbor Freight's got 6.5 horsepower. So you're definitely going to have some more juice to work on, driving the limbs with. But that being said, all in all, this works great. And I'm happy with the purchase. Appreciate it, guys. I'd love to hear your comments or questions. And if you've got one, how's it worked out for you?